so welcome back to my channel. You don't know, it's your girl Chaneil, aka Vice Grip. And of course we have Ramone because we needed to do this video in 2 parts. Like, it's a whole lot of stuff. It's a whole lot of stuff. So of course, if you missed the last one, you definitely need to go back and see that first video that we spoke about. Okay, I got rejected. Now what?
I mean, it's a very broad topic, so it needed to extend, really.
Yeah.
And as we said, guys,
it's good though. It's good.
It's good. Ensure you get it. We're asking, know what? Rihanna would have had asked what no. So
really?
Yeah.
You're so corny.
And that Rihanna asked her in her song what no, and it was basically talking about similar stuff.
Alright. I see you try saving this. I'm gonna give you the point.
Alright, say yo.
I'm gonna give the point. We're gonna jump into it. Yeah. So rejection stems from several things. The several factors that rejection can stem from could be where you are in terms of age and mindset. Because the things that, okay, for example, in a partner, the things I would have like rejected in high school, that ain't even matter now. Like, what I reject you for is totally different now compared to so where you are in terms of your age. And the same thing in persons who are getting older. I find that my older friends who are just like, look, I ain't got no time to play, I ain't got no games. You can be rejected for preferences.
You just like it like this? Or you just
you prefer tall men, for example, and some people prefer
dark women. Obviously.
Just by the end of the day, people can reject something for their personal preferences. Another factor that you can possibly be rejecting your experience with something. Like a person can reject you because of their experience with a particular thing. So you might be bringing something to the table and them just like, yeah, I've seen this before. No thanks. I'm good. It's alright. You stay over there so with that, you keep that middle one that is that me know what this look like. I've seen these patterns before, and you get rejected.
So it's like a Usher you remind me of kind of situation.
Yeah.
That's it.
Basically. It's like you as well. Yeah. Feel like women don't get rejected. Like we really feel like women don't get rejected. But yeah, I have experienced rejection, and not just on a job level or opportunity level like that, but in terms of like an emotional level. I actually internalized it. Sadly. For like a period of 2 years, there was that point in my life. If I end up talking to you for the first time and you kind of realize that, okay, I'm not your type, I'm cool. I'm like, oh, I'm not your type, and I'm good with that. I think the problem came in when you started dating the person and like a couple months be running off, and at some point you're just like, all right, what
is this?
Yeah, we need to stop freelancing. So what is this? And like at that point, this person's like, yo, you're so awesome, you're so great, you're amazing around friends, you're really cool to hang out with, all of that wonderful stuff. Yeah, and then they're not prepared to make that step, and it was fine. Like the first 2 times it happened, it was like, okay. The third and the fourth time, all of a sudden, I'm like, no, hold on. Something off. There must be something with me. So of course, I like to do introspection, and I started to wonder, is it I'm not saying the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? Am I doing too much? But I started really spending hours of my time. In fact, I even went as far as like, okay, hold on, because you know me, I want to get to the roots of it. And I was like, okay, what is your reason? And sometimes even didn't have a sensible reason. One, in fact, told me once that, yo, I was too G for him. I don't even know what that means. The other one, it wasn't really anything that was constructive for me to be like, yo, okay, I'm doing this wrong. So after I spent a very long time thinking about it and all of that, I was just like, you know what? Nothing is wrong with me. It was the reverse. I would have done with me. Like, it's not trying to be like, no, but I'm like this point. I'm like, yo, I communicate. I don't allow you to like play with a Rubik's Cube to try and figure out what's going on in my mind. I actually say stuff, and I say, yo, this is a problem, or I like this, or what I talk, right? And to me, guys, It's almost like they were seeking damsels in distress. They wanted somebody who was not understanding. They wanted somebody who they were going to bicker with. Like, that must have been it. Because I spent a long time trying to understand. And then here's the thing. I said, okay, cool. I understand. And I start pulling back now and start creating my boundaries. But yet, they still want to reach out for me, like, in the same way. I'm like, no fam, that's not how that works though. Like, you need to pick a struggle. It's either you're in or you're out, you're up, you're down, like you 1 or 0. Like, I sound like a logic game, but reality, it's either or either. And I internalized a lot of it, and there were times when I started to try and say, yo, what was wrong with me? And it wasn't something I could talk to anybody about, because as I said, females are not necessarily accustomed to being rejected. And I was talking about, because the first thing I talk about, yo, I was rejected, is like, then you know, I have like 10 other men line up away to talk to you, so you know what the problem. So something I dealt with on my own. And after a while, I just got to the point where I was like, look, I love exactly who I am, and frankly, if it was me, I would have been perfectly fine with me. So something is going on with them, and I am good.
So again, as we say, rejection can just come down to what we consider to be preference. At the point where you spoke to those persons and...
But if it's preference, I'm sorry, but in this case, right, if it's preference, I feel like you should have discovered that like within the first month, at least.
Yes, however, it wasn't a case that the person is not attracted to you or wouldn't want to have something with you. Probably that person was just not ready. He probably feared how you would have come off, how you would have accepted that. So there is that. This is not me making excuse for persons who
play around.
are playing around. Like, really and truly, like, there are times where
I can see with that.
Some men would have come into contact with someone who you consider it a strong woman, like knows what she wants, knows what she's about, and really and truly her goal is this, and this is what she's working towards. She lets you know from the get-go, is either you're in or you're out, as she said earlier. So it's just binary, it's one or the other. No in between. And because you have all these beautiful traits, he would want to have you around, you have great conversations and everything, but him within himself is probably just not ready. It's probably a case where he will have you as a good woman, but because he is used to this chasing, he might try to chase other people and damage or jeopardize.
Yeah. One friend went out on a limb and said to me, yo, Shani, one of the things I realized is that some of the times when a guy comes across a girl that he knows is good for him, he might not necessarily ready to be with that girl for more than one reason. One, if the friends start really liking her a lot, the friends are gonna start limit the things that you can do out the road. And we'll be like, yo brother, you can't do that. Kinda, and I'm like, never thought of that. That's a thing.
Yes, that's actually a thing.
What?
But then again, but everything you just said, some persons watching the video would be like, but that's you.
Yeah.
As it relates to you, how you work through it to say, alright, you started appreciating you more. That's not how they would look at it. Some persons would actually end up in this downward spiral and not try
depression, and they start to basically seek attention from other persons just to kind of dull down whatever emotional pain they will be feeling from that rejection. To some extent, I probably started doing all of that. Like, I just distracted myself with hanging out with my friends, distracted myself with just talk to a whole bunch of people. And I got to that stage, I was like, don't like me, don't want me, just we're cool. Let's hang out, have some fun, have some drinks, and we're good. That's it. The other part of it, no, because everything is a balance in life, at what point do you push? When do you know it's a redirection? When do you stop? Like I always say, rejection with suggestions is like gold. That's a blueprint for growth. If somebody says to you, honestly, sorry you did not get this job post, we were looking for somebody with ACCA as a qualification, we're looking for somebody with CCNA with a qualification, and you did not have these things, it kind of gives you that opportunity to stop and assess your life and assess your weaknesses and be like, you know what, I can improve on this, I can improve on that, I can improve on this, so that the next time I come across an opportunity like this, I am better. Let's say you were checking for a girl. Is there any point where you're just like, you know, it's probably the approach. Like she's like, she would have talked to you, but it's the approach that you came with. It's, you know, it's something. How do you know? Like really and truly, how do you know? If you know, like give me some of the pointers that you would use to identify whether or not I need to take this as a straight flat out no, or yo, I need to change my approach. How do you know?
That's very tricky.
Very.
It's not something that somebody just, yo, you know.
Yeah.
How I usually think about rejection is kind of like how I think about failure, somewhat.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Without rejection, we wouldn't necessarily know where we fall. Really and truly would know that certain things are there in your life that needs to be addressed or even just to be improved.
Yeah.
If I was not bullied, so to speak, I would know that, hey, I should not stick to badness. Let me try academics, let me try sports. Like, usually...
You weren't batting enough. Or batting properly.
I don't know.
You just need to do it right.
Cool, but like we come down to things happen for a reason, and it shouldn't always be the case where you're depressed to the point where some person start considering something wrong with me and I'm locking off myself from the world. It shouldn't be a case where it comes down to that. Sometimes you definitely need to step back and just assess, internalize, not negatively, but just assess where you are, what you're standing for, and what it is you really want. Because sometimes we go into some situations that are not necessarily best for us, or not necessarily in a direction we'd want to go, because we would have probably hasted the decision. Right? And when we get that rejection, we feel so caught up to the point where we're not even step back to assess and say, was this job something that I really wanted to do? Right?
And some of the time, some of us believe that we are never the problem.
There's that. And whenever you have that mindset, then you would have defeated yourself. Really.
Introspection is good, guys. It's really good.
Introspection, some people call it reflection. Like, the more you do this, the more you will feel more self-worth.
Yeah.
And once you would have developed your self-worth to a point where you're like, I'm comfortable with myself. Yeah. Comfortable with yourself in the point that you understand that, hey, if I want to do something, it's really up to me to actually get it done.
Yeah.
So that's the comfort we're talking about.
Yeah, and like, as much as we are saying that, one of the ways to overcome rejection is having a high self-esteem. Like, putting some value on yourself. And not to the point, guys, be humble and things. I'm not saying to go the opposite extreme, though, and like,
oh, you gonna give me the job and I'm here the man.
This is me. One of the things that I want you to understand, and coming from this video, if you don't get anything else in this video, I want you to understand that sometimes what did not work out for you really did work out for you, right? You have to start looking at rejection in a whole nother light. Please start looking at rejection in a positive light. Oftentimes, well, more often than not, it's going to lead to something that is better. It's going to improve who you are as a person. And of course, on this channel, we talk about becoming a better version of ourselves. That's the whole point of going through some of these things. We want to talk about the things that people don't usually talk about. We want to start getting in tune with our feelings and say, look, it's okay to feel this way. There is a better way to come out of it.
I agree with what you said earlier. Sometimes things that didn't work out for you actually worked out for you. And I know some of you might be here like, Shan gave us situations where she was rejected. You sound like you've never been rejected in life. Is it even sensible to actually listen to you as it relates to this whole rejection thing?
We all go through it in some way or another.
We would have all experienced rejection. I can tell you my experience where, similar to her, I was really going towards something to say, alright, yo, I can do this, I can do that.
No, we don't want no surface nothing, man. Come tell me how it go. I want to know, because now I'm curious. Like, I want to get curious. Don't take me on. So come, tell the story. Tell me the story. How it go?
Alright, so in the middle of doing my master's, I was tutoring in the department, right? And I was like, alright, I'm a great tutor. Students' feedback are great. Students are learning and everything. So at the end of this master's, I should be able to get the job opportunity to be a lecturer. Right. So I was there and I'm like, all right, let's go for this. I started getting some fight. Somewhat, we could say that.
That happened.
Somewhat. It happens in life, and you need these type of fight, guys, for you to really say, is this really what I want? I was there and I'm like, do I really want this job? Because if this is how you are now and I'm not in the post, what will happen if I actually get the post?
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, all right, yo, let's just finish the masters, and what happens next happens next. And then after that, like, saw something, well, somebody informed me about an opportunity somewhere else. Alright, so I was like, alright, let's send in the application. As I said, we have nothing to lose by sending in the application.
Nope, nothing.
So the deadline was apparently the morning after I got the information. So I sent out the application like midnight.
Wow.
Like midnight.
Send it out anywhere. Where you lose?
Yeah. So it's just like gambling. If you don't have a ticket, you don't have a chance, right? But I'm not telling you guys that you need a ticket, right? So it's a lecturing post, sits at the next end of the island, and I'm like, yo, this makes sense. I'm
Benefits are better.
I would be in a different environment where I can be myself. I don't have to be like, yo, the sharks are here. I need to be a little fish and wait for the sharks
to go away.
So
Yes.
I can really, like, where I am now, my opinions actually matter, right? And I'm able to contribute more and stuff like that. So what didn't work out for me actually did work out. So guys, it all comes down to your mindset. I know it's easier said than done, but once you start working on that mindset to say, hey, rejection doesn't necessarily mean that something is wrong with me, right? It's just preference of somebody or that particular organization or that particular group or environment or whatever the case is. So just try to rethink. And I mean, guys, you can always make your suggestions in the comments. Let's reach out to us. We can try to.
Yeah, rejection why?
It's why, right? So you might have experienced something that we didn't touch on this video.
Yeah.
Alright. So maybe in part 2 we end up saying, alright, yo, let's
part
touch on
3.
this part 3. At the end of the day, guys, rejection is something that everybody has to go through, right? If Bill Gates wasn't rejected, then he wouldn't be the person he is today. If Mark Zuckerberg wasn't rejected, he wouldn't be the person he is. If rejection didn't happen, then they wouldn't know that, hey.
That's it for today, guys. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. If you really liked it, of course, you know, like, share, subscribe. As usual, when life comes at you, you don't know, you have to grip it, lock it, and own it. Yeah?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.